So now the third option is about the distribute. That means I want to distribute it evenly somewhere here. So let's see how it works. So I have this alignment option. So I selected all these three leaders, and here I take the first point over here, and I want to make all the multi-leaders distribute at this particular alignment to the first point, and then at about the second point. So in these two lines, all these three leaders will be distributed. So when we talk about distribution, that means we sketch a line in which we want to distribute it. Let us see it again. So irrespective of, let's say, where the leader lines are, let's say I want to distribute it in this particular point. So I have this alignment. I select all the three leaders, and here we have the first point of the leader, let's say here, and the second point. So now I can move it up and see the distribution. Now in this case it is crossing, but then this is what the distribution is all about. Now let's talk about the grip options. Like if I select a leader, you can find that there are different grips over there that is displayed. So if I put my mouse over here, then you can have this stretch option, so you can stretch it, and then there is something called the endpoint. You can see that there are various kind of options that will be available once you put the mouse over the grips. So here in this options, in this it's only for the, you can select it, press it, and extend it. But here there are options like lengthen the landing, so you can increase the landing from here, and so this is for the landing actually. And also you can add leader from here. So if you want to add leader from here, so you can add more leaders from here. So there is one way of adding leader is select the leader and put your mouse over here, and then you have this add leader option, so you can add a leader option. The other way of adding leader is by using the tools. So you have this option called the add leader. Please get your mouse over here from where you want to add. For example, here I want to add a leader, so I click over here, so I can have different kind of leaders over here. So apart from that, if I want to add a leader at this particular point, so now the leader will be emanating from here. So it depends upon where you want to put the leader. At the same time, if you want to select it, and if you look into it, there's an option called remove leader. Select the leader that you want to remove and press enter. The leader will be removed. So select it, right click, and then there's an option called remove leader. The leader can be removed. Other option of removing a leader is selecting the tool from here. So select a multi-leader, then select the leaders that you want to remove. For example, I want to remove this one and press enter. The leader will remove. So this is how you can add or remove leader. So if you select it, click right, so you will have this option add or remove leader and the multi-leader style that you want to put into it. So this is something is very important. And then let's talk about the blocks, options of the blocks. Now let's say if I have a block over here that I have created. So we'll be talking about blocks in the next session. So block is a predefined entity. So here I have a block with an attribute. Attributes is a text that can be edited inside the block. So this is the block that is there. The name of the block is 1. Here you can see. So now what I have done is I have created a style. Let's say I create a style called new custom 1 and go for continue. And here in the content, instead I would be creating a multi-line text in this custom 1 and set current. Custom multi-leader, I take a multi-line text. So I have got two different leader style, one with the text and one with the. So the custom leader style is with the text and the custom one is with the block. So now I will be putting the custom one. I'm using the custom one as a current multi-leader style. So if I am going to use it now, here I will be showing you how the collect option works. So you have this multi-leader over here, and let's say here we have a block. Let's say I say it's 1, so it will. This is basically the text. Now if I have the custom, let's say I go with the. Let me see that if the block is there or not in the custom 1. So okay, I have to change it to the block, set current and the custom. So right, so the custom one is with the block. So if I have the, let me delete it and put the multi-leader again. So now you can find it. Okay, now there is one. So it is asking for what text I want to put because it is in block. So here I have two, and then you can have another block over here and it will say three. So the multi-leaders here are not with the text but with the blocks with different kind of annotations inside. Now if you want to collect them, and now they are in the different alignment. So you have this collect option, select multi-leader. So now you can select all the multi-leaders, and then you have got different options like you can collect them horizontally, right? You can collect them horizontally or you can collect them vertically. So collection means that it shows 1, 2, 3. These are the tags of particular object that you are going to keynote it. So there are, I would be also discussing about what is the practical implication of, like for example, you're creating a bill of quantity or a bill of material, or you are basically doing a bomb diagram where you want to have this particular, specifically for the assemblies that we do for steel connections and other things. There are various parts in the fabrication drawings where the numberings are very important. So here the multi-leader plays a very, very important role, I'll tell you. So if you want to collect it, so select the multi-leaders. So you want to collect it and put it in a horizontal. Let's say now I go for a vertical, so it goes with the vertical. So this is the something that I wanted to discuss about multi-leaders before we go to the dimension editing. So we will be doing some practical explanation about the use of multi-leaders in the project as well as the dimensions. Now let's talk about the dimension style. That's very important. Now in the dimensions there are various entities like let me open up the one of these sections. So you can find that there is an arrowhead over here, there is a text over here, there is a dimension line over here, and there are different spacings. You can see that there are spacings between the point from where the dimension is taken. So we can set these dimensions in a style. So in a particular project, there might be different dimension style. Now let's see how we can set this dimension style. One way is you know you can press D over here to open the dimension style manager. Now here you can see in the project there is one dimension style named as 18 Roman 15 115 PS. So let me talk about with the fresh drawing. Now let's say about the dimension style. Now if I open a drawing with the imperial setting. So the default settings over here, we have the standard and annotative. Again, very important. The default is standard, and all the dimension default settings like the arrow size, the uh, the uh, the break size, the dimension breaks definitely, and the primary unit settings over here. For example, the other things are set as per the imperial setting. So these are the default values that comes with the template. So dimension style is a very important part of a drawing template. So we'll be talking about drawing template in the latter part, how important the drawing template is. But if you open the drawing file with the let's say the metric settings, so you will find that the default settings are changed and you have this ISO standards coming into play. So ISO standards is basically the standard that we follow in the international standard code, where the settings are as per the default ISO settings over here. So this is the difference between the default settings of the dimension style while you are using a metric template or imperial one. So let's talk about the imperial one, the metric one, in fact, because I have opened it. Now, if you look into the dimension style, let's say if I go with along with it, so I go for the modify. So there are a bunch of tools over here like set current, new, and you can compare. So that if you have two dimension styles, you can compare what are the difference between the two dimension styles. Like for example, what the difference between the annotative and the other thing. Now let's go with one by one what is the settings in the dimension style. So let's modify the ISO 25, the current style, and let's see what is what. So there are different tabs over here in the dimension style manager, that is the modified dimension style ISO 25. So why ISO 25? Because the style that we are modifying it right now is ISO 25. If you want to create your own style, well, this is fine. Then you can basically go directly with the new, and you have to start with a particular dimension style as a benchmark. So here it would say either you start with ISO 25 or with the annotative which is available. Anyway, so let's say if I want to modify the dimension style, so I go with the modify the existing dimension style. So let's talk about the various tabs. Lines. The line tabs, here the settings are about all the dimension lines. So you can see a preview over here. This is a very old kind of preview that is there with the AutoCAD for a long time. In fact, I have been seeing it for a long time. So the lines. So the dimension lines, the extension line, and then you have this option called extend dimension lines, offset from origin. So these are the options for the lines. So if you want to change the color of the dimension line, for example, if I want to change the color to red, now you can see the color is getting changed to red. If I want to give a different line type, I can choose from here and load the line type, and I can give a different line type to the dimension line. So you can see the line type has changed, but I'm going to make it by layer actually. All of them will be by layer because I want to take all the properties from the layer. So this is about the color, line type, and line weight of the dimension line. And then we have the extend beyond text. Now by default, you can see that this option is checked off, right? We can have this values later on. We can see how these values will be working, and this ticks basically if is depending upon the this is the arrowhead. So we will be seeing when this extend beyond text will be operated, right? So we will see when this will be available, but at this moment of time this is disabled. And this talks about the baseline spacing. So when you're doing a baseline dimension, what is the spacing between the two baseline dimensions? So it is by default it is 3.75. So then we have the suppression of dimension line 1. So if you suppress it, you can see what the left dimension line is suppressed, the right dimension line suppressed. So sometimes while you're doing a dimension, we need to suppress one of the dimension lines. So when we will be also seeing the cases where we can suppress the dimension line. Then we talk about the extension lines. The extension lines are basically the lines that you can see over here. These are the extension lines. So here again, you can change the color of them. Now you can see you have the flexibility of changing the dimension entities over here. The line type extension line 1. So now let's say you can have a different line type. So now this is, you can give a different line type to this extension line. You can give a different line type to the extent. It's already a different line type over here. You can change the line weight, the line thickness of it. But let's put it as a by layer at this moment of time, because everything we want to do it by layer. Similarly, you can suppress both of them. Apart from that, if you are not suppressing it, so you have this option. So if you suppress it, these options will be disabled. Now let's see, extend beyond dimension line. So now you can see that it says 1.25 by default. So this is the value that it's going above. This is extending beyond the dimension line. So offset from origin is this particular distance. Now you can see this is the origin, and this particular distance from where the dimension line extension line is starting is the offset option. Then you can fix the extension line. If you want to give a length of the dimension line, you can fix them. Then it will be always have that particular length. So we will be seeing it also in the drawing how it affects. So this is all about the lines. So there are, again, to summarize, there are two lines that can be changed or modified in dimension. One is the extension line and one is the dimension lines. Next is basically the parameters of the arrowheads. So here we have the arrowheads when we talk about the arrows, mainly the arrows that are showing the extremities of the dimensions. So we can have different, we can have an architectural text. So now you can see the moment if I have changed this arrowheads over here from close to architectural text, the extend beyond text opens. Let's say if I have a value 1, So what will happen, the line will be extended beyond the text. So this particular option is available for some of the cases like the oblique and the like not the arrowheads one, but for the text. So this again, this is for the leader. So if you want to have a different, when you're using a queue leader, quick leader, these are the settings that you can go, and the arrow size. So if you have the closed field, you, or any other arrows that you are giving, so you can control the arrow size from this particular parameter. By default, it is 2.5 for the metric, right? And then the center mark, again, the center mark means the center mark of the circle. So you can have it a line like this. Now you can see if you put a line over here. So now if you increase the value, let's say if I make it 10, so arrow size will change. So we'll be seeing how the arrow size will be changing. So if you have none, mark, and line. Dimension breaks is all for the jog lines. If you want to break size, not jog lines, not about the jog lines, the gap used for the dimension breaks. Jog lines are different. So when you're using a break in the dimension, we have done it previously. The gap size, what would be the size of the gap when you're using the breaks? It's 3.75 by default. So so again, this is arc length symbol. So again, arc length symbol is preceding dimension text, above dimension text, where you're going to have the arc. So arc length symbol is that particular arc length symbol that you were getting, like the arc before the arc length that you give. So again, it talks about the where the arc length symbol will come, before the text or above the dimension text, or it will not come. This is about the radius jog dimension that we have already done in the previous section. If you want to put a 90-degree angle, so this is best place where you can change the angle. So we'll see how it changes. Linear jog dimension, jog height factor. So when you're doing a jog dimension for linear dimension, so you can have the jog text height for that. So you can change the height from here itself. So it's all about the symbols and arrows. So when we will be doing it on the screen, then we can see how it will be changed, how it can be affected, and what is what. Then there is the text option. So the text option is what dimension style you're going to use. This is very important. This defines the differences between the different dimension that you do in the drawings. Like for example, the text style. If you want to have an Arial, let's say you create an Arial dimension style, text style, and you select an Arial option from here. Let's say I select the Arial option. So my text style is Arial. So sometimes, you know, some designers, architects, or civil engineers, they use the name of the dimension style in correspondence to the text style that they're using. For example, this is Arial right now. And another thing is that you want to put it bold or whatever height you want to put, and the width factor and other things. So if I put it 0, then you have options like you can control it from the text height option. Then we have the, let's say if I want to select this, now it will be changed over here. Then I have the color of the text. Let's say, okay, let me put it unbold over here because it's not looking good. So let me put it unbold over here. So now you can see the color of the text changes to, let's say, blue, right? And the text height is 2.5 over here. So you can draw a frame if you click on it. So again, this is the there is some options like the vertical placement. GIS is the Japanese industrial standard. Then you have the other things like you want to put it above, right, in the vertical, or you want to put it outside. So it's not visible over here. If you say if you want to put it in the center, now you can, here you can see only the center over here. But if you want to put it above, or if you want to put as per the GIS, right? So you can have this. And then you have the horizontal text placement. It can be at the extension line 1, it can be at the extension line 2, depending upon what kind of dimensioning that you're doing. So it's again left to right or right to left. Now this will be only visible when we do a dimension. Very important is this is a view direction. Then is the offset from the dimension line. How far you want to write the dimension text from the dimension line. So this is the value 0.625. Then you have the text alignment. Like if you want to place always horizontal, that means whenever you read the drawing, the dimension text are always written horizontal, like this, or it is aligned with the dimension text, or it is the ISO standard. ISOs are having different standards. So whatever you select will be as per the standards of the ISO. So here we have we done the text option. So the next option is the fit option. Now this is something that you can basically set while you are setting the dimension style. Now let's see what are the fit options. So there are various areas like fit options. If there isn't enough room to place both text and arrows inside the extension line, sometimes it happens that the dimension is very tight and you are not able to put it. So it says that what you do when you're using this style, either text or arrows, you can either move the text or the arrows, whichever fit the best. But if you want to give a condition that arrows will move out, so then you can basically select this one, or you can say the text will move out, or you can say both text and arrows will move out. So depending upon what is the choice that you want to have while you are dimensioning. And then you can have a condition that always keep text between the extension lines, whatever be the matter, how smaller is the dimension I want to put the text between the extension line, that you can select this. But I would prefer that you select the default option. And further going, AutoCAD allows you to suppress arrows if they don't fit inside the extension line. Sometimes, let's say if the arrows are not fitting inside the extension line, you can suppress the arrow, right? So the arrows will not be displayed in this case. So this is all about the text and arrows. Then the placement of the text. When text is not in the default position, so place it beside the dimension line, over the dimension line with leader, over dimension line without a leader. That means you can put it beside the dimension line, outside the dimension line, or over the dimension line with the leader. So if text is not in the default position, or it's not in the center, it is in the left or right or somewhere you're placing it, what you want to do with, you want to basically put the dimension line, text beside the dimension line, or you want to put it over the dimension line with a leader or without a leader. So it's your option again. So this feature, this particular parameter is very important in the while you are modifying a dimension. So here, if you want to make it annotative, then everything that means it will change according to the annotation scale. So scale dimensions to layout, which I would not prefer to do it because I want to scale the dimension features. What are the dimension features? Dimension features are the extension line, dimension line, the arrowheads, and other things. So when you're working in a model space, so you can always have a scale factor by which everything will increase. For example, if you were to increase the size of the arrows, the text, and the all the parameters like the offsets and the other thing in this particular, say, center marks. So there is one option that will increase the size overall, that is the overall scale of the dimension features, is the use overall scale. So if you want to put 10, so everything will increase by 10, so the proportionate increase. So there's a command also, it says dim scale is a command, you can give the command here. So draw dimension line, so between extension line, or you can place the text manually. So what will happen that if you select this option, there will be an always you can place the text manually, so it will not place automatically. Or here, draw dimension line between extension lines. So whatever be the condition is, draw the dimension line between the extension lines. So if the dimension lines will be there between the extension lines. So this is the fit option. Good draftsmen, good AutoCAD drafters, especially who are doing every day, who are working in drawings, they use fit option as one of the very productive option to set the dimensions. Now next comes to the primary units. Now there are why primary units, because in AutoCAD you can set the primary units, you can set two units. Let's say you are working in millimeters or centimeter or whatever it is, metric system. So one dimension is in metric and the other dimension you can put it in other units. Let's say millimeters and the other is in feet inches. So you can have alternate units for that, and then you can have a conversion factor. So let's talk about the primary units. For example, here we are using millimeters in this particular project. So over here, whatever unit you have taken there in the while you're drafting, but dimension units can be different from whatever units you have taken. So here we have taken the unit format as decimal, and since we are doing a millimeter, so I would suggest that we should go for the precision 0, because millimeter should not have any kind of precision as of. Then the decimal separator. So if there is some decimal, for example, if you are having a precision of, let's say, 0.0, the separator is how you are looking at it. If you are putting a period or a space or a comma, depending upon which standard you are following it. If you are at somewhere in Europe or somewhere in US, they might be preferring comma or space for the decimal separator. So you can have different decimal separators. But for now, we would not be using a different decimal separator because we don't require it, because we are in millimeters. Round off. Okay, round off is something that kind of value that you can round off, like for example 141, 143, if you have a round off of. So we can see what are the round offs, how they can be used in a particular case. So here we have a round off 0, right? So you can put the values like whatever values you want to put. So you can have different values for the round off. Now you can see that the moment I did it 10, so the value or the 5, you can see the number is changing. So we'll be talking about the round off, but now we are going with 0, right? So let's come to the prefix. So if you want to write something before the dimensions in the primary units, let's say if I want to write a dash, so with the dimensions this will be written off, and in the suffix, prefix is what comes before the text, and suffix is what comes before the after the text. So it writes like this: A141 millimeters. So always you can have the suffix and the prefix if you want to customize your dimension. Then we have the measurement scale. So again, apply to the layout dimensions only. No, we want to apply it for the all dimensions. Scale factor is, let's say if you are dimensioning a line and if it says actual line is 10, but if you want to show the dimension twice the actual length, then you can have the scale factor. For example, I'm removing this here. Now you can see that it shows 141, but if I give a scale factor of 2, what will happen? The dimension will be doubled. That means you are scaling the actual dimension by 2. So this is something that we need to take care of it. So let's say we can have it 1 at this moment. I would avoid to have a scaling factor unless it's a very small drawing and if you need to scale it. So again, zero suppression is something that if you are going with a leading and the trailing zeros, for example, you have 141. So leading 0 is, let's say if you have a 3 decimal places, so you have the dimension as 141.09700. So there are trailing 141.000. So if you want to suppress the leading 0, which is coming before the dimension, like for example before the decimal, let's say there's a dimension called 0.56. So in this case, if you suppress it, then the 0 will not be shown, and the trailing 0 is the 0 that comes after the decimal. So if you want to suppress it, this will be suppressed. So subunit factors, subunit suffix, so that can be utilized for subunits, that can be discussed later. So then you have this let's say if you are having an engineering unit. So now the moment I say the engineering unit, that means the feet inches, so I can suppress the feet. Let's say sometimes the dimension is written 0 feet 6 inches, so I can suppress the 0 feet, only 6 inches will be written, or let's say if it is written 6 feet 0 inches, 0 inches will be suppressed. So you can suppress them. So this is all about the primary units. So the more we will learn about, but here in this project we'll be talking about the decimal units as the primary unit. So here we have the primary unit. So we have set it to millimeters right now. So now the alternate units we want in feet and inches. So we want to have both the imperial and the metric in the dimension. The primary unit is in the millimeters and the alternate unit is in the feet inches that we require. So for that, to display the alternate unit, just click on the checkbox for the display alternate units and then select the options that you want to take. For example, I want to take the engineering over here for the imperial system, and the precision that I want to give it to the 1 decimal places. Now by default you can see that the 0.0393, this is the conversion factor that from the millimeters to inches that we convert. By default the conversion factor is already given over here. That means 0.039370 is a conversion factor for millimeters and the inches. So if you want to have any other conversion factors, you can always give, but by default the conversion factor is here. So it's talk about the multiply or for all the units. Again, you have the round off distances, and if you want to give a prefix and suffix to it, it's fine. The very important part over here is about the placement. If you want to put after the, now you can see 141 is something it's given over here, and then if you want to place below it, so it can be placed below it. So you have the primary units over here and the alternate unit over here. Now, next is basically the tolerances. Normally, tolerances are not very much used in civil engineering application, but to give you an impression about tolerances is how the dimension varies. So in CAD, basically, so we can use tolerances when we are doing fitments, assemblies, or a kind of fabrication drawings. There are tolerances while we are doing machinings, and definitely somewhere in the construction industry where the fabrication is done or machining is there, the CNC machines are used, the tolerances are used. So it's needless to say that tolerances can be used in the construction industry also when we are into the manufacturing or the fabrication part. So there are basic methods like the tolerance format. You can have the symmetrical method where you have plus minus you talk about. Let me put it off the alternate units way. Now you can see that there is a tolerance over here. So we have the upper value as 10. So the moment you say 10, that means that it is 141 plus minus 10. If you give the symmetrical, that means so symmetrical is we did about the symmetrical, then we have the deviation. Now you can see that you can give the upper value. Let's say if there is a dimension of 141, it can deviate in the upper value, that it can become 1. Let's say upper value I give it as 20. That means the upper deviation can be, while we are measuring the dimension or machining it or manufacturing it, it can be 161 or it can be 131. So you have this lower value 10. So you can always have a deviation of it while you are dimensioning it. In the site also, you can basically convey that there is a deviation that can be done. Similarly, you have the limits. Limits are very simple. Like you give the upper value, let's say it will be directly showing you, let's say actual value is 141. So if you give the limit, let's say if you use the limit, it will directly calculate. For example, if you say 10, that means the upper value will be 151 in this case. And then if you say, let's say 30, the lower value, you can see that how it becomes 111. So this is how basically the tolerances are given, and then you can give the how it will be placed in the middle or in the top. So let me go with the deviation now, that it will reflect over here. So align decimal separator. So these are various options that you can explore, but here it ends the how the dimension line style can be modified. So next we will be now doing some application of the dimension style that can be used in our drawings.